Chosen One, you've officially shifted into a new timeline where every person who played in your face, tested your boundaries, and underestimated your power is about to find out they messed with the wrong one. The universe has locked and loaded your destiny with big wins that will leave your former doubters speechless. The very people who tried to keep you small were unwittingly serving as the catalyst for your expansion. Every betrayal strengthened your discernment. Every rejection redirected you towards something better aligned. Every attempt to dim your light only taught you how to burn brighter from your own internal source. They thought they were writing your story of defeat, but they were actually authoring your testimony of triumph. The pressure they applied became the force that transformed coal into diamond. Some of these people couldn't stay away, even after the natural separation began. They found themselves driving past your house without conscious intention, showing up at places you frequent with manufactured reasons, checking your social media obsessively, feeling magnetized to your energy field even as their logical mind told them to move on. They were experiencing the gravitational pull of authentic power, drawn to the light you were emanating even as their own inner darkness made them want to extinguish it. Your psychic abilities were amplifying during this period in ways that would have seemed impossible months earlier. Dreams began delivering prophetic information. That inner voice started providing real-time intelligence about situations before they fully materialized. You could feel people thinking about you from distances that shouldn't have been possible. Energy cords became visible to your inner sight, showing you exactly who was trying to siphon your power and who was genuinely sending love. These weren't new abilities. They were ancient capabilities coming back online as your spiritual operating system upgraded itself. Then came the incident that changed everything. You know the one, that moment when someone crossed a boundary so boldly, played a game so obviously, or betrayed your trust so completely that something inside you said enough, with a finality that surprised even you. The anger you felt wasn't destructive, it was creative. It was the righteous fire that burns away everything inauthentic, leaving only the indestructible essence of who you really are. That moment of sacred rage activated your full power, and everyone in your orbit felt the shift immediately. Watch what happened next. The people who had grown comfortable with unlimited access to your energy suddenly found themselves cut off without explanation. The ones who felt entitled to your emotional labor discovered that the well had run dry. Those who had been taking your kindness for weakness realized they had miscalculated catastrophically. Some tried to guilt you back into old patterns with manipulation disguised as concern. Others attempted to anger you into reaction with provocations designed to make you look unstable. But you saw through these tactics with the clarity of someone who had graduated from their school of illusion. Your gifts began multiplying exponentially after this awakening. Abilities you had possessed as a child but were taught to suppress came rushing back with adult wisdom backing them up. That voice inside your head that always knew which people to trust became prophetically accurate. The way you could shift the energy of a room simply by entering it stopped being charismatic and became spiritual authority. People began seeking your guidance without you offering it, sensing that you had access to information they needed. The universe started rearranging itself around your elevation in ways that would have seemed like coincidences if they weren't happening so consistently. Opportunities that had seemed impossibly out of reach began presenting themselves with surprising ease. Doors that had been slammed in your face were not just opening, they were being held open by the same people who had once guarded them against you. The promotion, the recognition, the resources you had been seeking started flowing toward you because you had finally aligned with the frequency of someone who deserved them. Remember those people who had tried to diminish you, who had spread rumors about your character, who had attempted to sabotage your progress. The cosmic irony that was about to unfold would leave them speechless. Through a series of seemingly unrelated events, a restructuring here, a departure there, a new opportunity arising. You were about to find yourself in a position of authority over the very people who had tried to keep you down. The colleague who had tried to get you fired would soon be reporting to you. The friend who had spread gossip about your mental state would need a recommendation you had the power to give or withhold. The family member who had dismissed your dreams would witness your success, eclipse their own achievements. This reversal wasn't happening to feed your ego or enable revenge fantasies. It was the universe demonstrating a fundamental truth. What you put out always comes back, but not always in the form you expect. Your physical transformation was keeping pace with your spiritual evolution. The stress lines that had mapped your struggles were softening into wisdom lines that spoke of battles won. Your posture carried a new kind of confidence, not the brittle armor of someone proving their worth, but the relaxed authority of someone who knows their value. People began commenting that you looked younger, brighter, more vibrant, but they couldn't identify exactly what had changed. They were witnessing the external reflection of internal alignment, the glow that emerges when someone stops fighting their destiny and starts flowing with it. The people who truly belonged in your life were being drawn into your orbit with the same magnetic inevitability that had repelled the misaligned. These weren't relationships you had to chase or convince or perform for. They arrived with recognition already intact, as if you had been waiting for each other across lifetimes. The conversations flowed with effortless depth. The mutual support felt natural rather than transactional. The shared vision required no explanation because you were operating from the same frequency of consciousness. Your work, whatever form it took, was becoming a channel for something larger than personal achievement. Whether you were leading a team, teaching a class, creating art, or running a business, there was a quality of service that transcended mere professional competence. People felt transformed in your presence. They left interactions with you more inspired, more confident, more connected to their own power. This wasn't something you were trying to do. It was simply what happened when someone aligned with their purpose showed up authentically in the world. The guilt you had been carrying about not being able to show up for people the way you used to was revealed as misplaced compassion. Your inability to tolerate dysfunction wasn't coldness, it was clarity. Your unwillingness to enable others' self-destructive patterns wasn't abandonment, it was love with boundaries. The version of yourself that had said yes to everything, given endlessly, and accepted crumbs in return, hadn't been more loving, it had been more codependent. The version of yourself that existed now, with refined standards and non-negotiable boundaries, was actually more loving because you were modeling what healthy self-respect looked like. Meanwhile, your former associates were having their own reckonings. Some couldn't even look at you directly anymore, their eyes sliding away from contact that had once been easy. There was shame in their averted gaze, the unconscious recognition that they had chosen poorly when they had the opportunity to choose wisely. They saw in your transformation what had been possible for them if they had chosen growth over comfort, truth over convenience, courage over compliance. Your success had become a mirror that reflected their missed opportunities, and some people would rather break the mirror than change what they saw. The energy stalking that had been happening, people driving by your house, showing up unexpectedly, monitoring your social media with obsessive attention, was reaching its crescendo. They were unconsciously recognizing that you had accessed something they desperately wanted but didn't know how to achieve. They were studying you like a textbook, hoping to decode the secret of your transformation so they could replicate it without doing the work. But what they failed to understand was that your power wasn't a technique to be copied, it was an essence to be cultivated through surrender, struggle, and spiritual discipline. Your hands remained clean throughout all the dramas that surrounded your ascension. While others chose chaos, you chose growth. While others chose revenge, you chose elevation. While others chose to drag people down, you chose to lift yourself up. This clean conscience became part of your power. You could move through the world without the weight of regret or the burden of unfinished business. Your integrity was intact, Your character was uncompromised, and your reputation was being rebuilt on the foundation of authentic achievement rather than political maneuvering. The moment you fully realized you had more power than you had been using was the moment everything crystallized. Not power over others. That was the counterfeit version that weak people sought. The real power was authority over your own energy, your own choices, your own responses to life's challenges. When you stopped giving your power away to people who didn't deserve it, stopped seeking validation from sources that couldn't provide it, stopped accepting treatment that diminished your worth, that was when you became unstoppable. The tough love energy you had developed wasn't cruelty, it was compassion with boundaries. Some people only learn through consequences, and your willingness to let them experience the natural results of their choices was actually a gift. By refusing to rescue them from their own decisions, you were giving them the opportunity to develop the strength they would need for their own transformation. Not everyone would take advantage of this gift, but that wasn't your responsibility. Your job was to model what empowerment looked like, not to force others to empower themselves. As your new timeline solidified, the opportunities began arriving with increasing frequency and magnitude. The book you were meant to write started organizing itself in your mind. The business you were meant to build began attracting the right partners and resources. The platform you were meant to have started expanding beyond what you had thought possible. These weren't dreams anymore. They were inevitabilities organizing themselves around your readiness to receive them. The loneliness of leadership was real, but temporary. As you stepped fully into your authority, others who had been on similar journeys were drawn into your orbit. The conversations you had been craving, the ones that went deep immediately, that skipped surface pleasantries and dove straight into the mysteries of existence, those conversations were coming. The collaborations that would amplify your impact exponentially were forming. The love that matched your frequency was approaching. Your energy was no longer available for people who didn't see your value. This wasn't arrogance, it was ecology. You had learned to be as protective of your energy as you would be of any precious resource, because you understood now that your energy was what created your reality. Every interaction either added to or subtracted from your life force, and you had become ruthlessly selective about which exchanges you would engage in. The evil eye that some cast upon your success bounced off you harmlessly now. Their jealousy couldn't diminish your light, because your light was no longer dependent on their approval or recognition. The gossip they spread about your transformation only served to advertise your power to those who had eyes to see. Every attempt to diminish your reputation became testimony to your impact. They thought they were throwing stones, but they were actually building monuments to your influence. The people who had played games with your heart, who had tested your boundaries, who had underestimated your strength, they had served a purpose they never intended. They were the resistance that built your spiritual muscles, the darkness that taught you to generate your own light, the chaos that forced you to find your own center. In their attempts to break you, they had actually broken you open to reveal the diamond that had always been there, waiting for the right pressure to reveal its brilliance. Your destiny was bigger than the small minds that had tried to contain it. The platform you were being prepared for would allow you to impact thousands of lives. Your story of transformation was becoming the bridge that others would cross to reach their own promised land. The light you had learned to tend so carefully wasn't meant to be hidden, it was meant to be placed where it could guide others home to themselves. The sleepless nights that had started your journey were now filled with prophetic dreams about your expanding influence. The people who had been energy stalking you were being naturally repelled by your elevated frequency, clearing your space for aligned connections. The workplace dynamics that had once seemed stacked against you had reversed completely, with you now in positions of authority over former adversaries. The spiritual gifts that had awakened during your darkest hours were now being channeled into work that served the collective awakening. The isolation that had felt like punishment was revealed as preparation for leadership that required unshakable inner authority. Your financial reality is shifting in tandem with your spiritual elevation. Money flows toward you through unexpected channels, opportunities that feel less like work and more like play, clients who find you through mysterious referrals, investments that seem to multiply without effort. This isn't because you've become materialistic, but because you've healed your relationship with abundance. You understand now that money is simply energy, and energy flows most freely to those who don't grasp at it desperately or push it away in false humility. Your new relationship with resources reflects your new relationship with yourself, worthy, deserving, and naturally magnetic to all forms of abundance. The people who once dismissed your ideas are beginning to parrot them back to you without awareness of the irony. Concepts you expressed months or years ago that were met with skepticism or ridicule are suddenly being embraced as revolutionary insights when they come from other mouths. This phenomenon reveals something profound about how influence moves through the collective consciousness. True visionaries often plant seeds in minds that aren't ready to acknowledge the source of their newfound wisdom. Rather than feeling frustrated by this dynamic, you've learned to appreciate it as evidence of your impact rippling outward in ways you may never fully track. Your sleep patterns have completely transformed from those chaotic nights of early awakening, where you once lay staring at the ceiling, feeling like electrical currents were rewiring your nervous system. You now rest deeply and wake with crystal clarity about the day ahead. Your dream life has become a source of guidance so reliable that you've started keeping a journal beside your bed. Solutions to complex problems arrive in symbolic narratives. Warnings about people or situations manifest as vivid scenarios that prove prophetically accurate. Your subconscious mind has become a direct communication channel with divine intelligence, and you've learned to trust its messages implicitly. The family dynamics that once felt like endless sources of drama have fundamentally shifted. Relatives who used to trigger you with their criticism or dysfunction now seem smaller somehow, less capable of disturbing your peace. Some have actually begun seeking your counsel, unconsciously recognizing the wisdom you've cultivated through your trials. Others maintain their distance, sensing that you're no longer available for the old games of manipulation and guilt. Either way, you've broken generational patterns of codependency and toxicity, creating a new template for future generations to follow. Your creative expression has exploded in ways that surprise even you. Whether through writing, art, music, speaking, or business innovation, ideas flow through you with an ease that feels almost supernatural. The blocks that once held you back, fear of judgment, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, have dissolved in the face of your authentic self-acceptance. You create not to prove anything to anyone, but because creation is the natural overflow of a spirit aligned with its source. People respond to your work with unusual intensity because they can feel the authenticity vibrating through every expression. The loneliness that characterized your transformation period has given way to a quality of solitude that feels completely different. Where isolation once felt like punishment, solitude now feels like luxury. You've discovered the difference between being alone and being lonely, and you cherish the quiet moments that allow you to commune with your own soul. This comfort with your own company has made you incredibly attractive to others, because people are drawn to those who don't need them but choose to engage anyway. Your independence has become magnetic in a world full of desperate dependence. Your body has undergone its own metamorphosis alongside your consciousness. Chronic issues that plagued you for years have mysteriously resolved. Your energy levels have stabilized at heights you didn't know were possible. You move through the world with a grace that wasn't there before, as if your physical form has finally learned to house your expanded spirit comfortably. People comment on your vitality, your glow, your apparent agelessness. What they're witnessing is the external manifestation of internal harmony, the way the body responds when the soul is finally free to express itself authentically. The people you've released from your life are experiencing their own consequences in ways that require no effort from you. Former friends who chose gossip over loyalty find themselves isolated as others begin to see their pattern of betrayal. Colleagues who tried to sabotage your success watch their own projects fail while yours flourish. Family members who dismissed your growth discover that their static approach to life leaves them increasingly irrelevant in a rapidly evolving world. You feel no satisfaction in these reversals, only a quiet recognition that the universe is always balancing itself without requiring your intervention. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing entirely to put yourself to the test. When I confronted the Archons beyond our reality, they made one thing clear: true chosen ones are rare. They laughed at the thought of us finding each other, yet here you are watching this message. The Obsidian Inner Order isn't for everyone claiming to be awakened. We're the real ones, those who've seen beyond the veil, felt the call, and carry the unmistakable frequency. But are you truly one of us? I have given you everything I've got, and I'm digging deeper to bring you even more. Don't just consume content from the sidelines. Real chosen ones take action. Share your story on our weekly group call. Get a revealing tarot reading from our resident card reader. Discover if your experiences align with the authentic signs. The Archons fear nothing more than chosen ones recognizing each other. When we connect, our frequencies amplify and create a force they cannot stop. That's why we're going to be live streaming to the entire Astral Atom network to find every last one of us. Click the link in the description below now. It's time to stop wondering and confirm what you already suspect. Are you merely interested in awakening, or are you truly chosen? Prove it. Join us. The verification you seek awaits with the Obsidian Inner Order. The spiritual gifts you thought were awakening are revealing themselves to be even more expansive than you initially understood. What began as enhanced intuition has evolved into something approaching prophetic ability. Your capacity to hold healing space for others has developed to the point where people experience profound shifts simply from being in conversation with you. Your words carry a frequency that catalyzes transformation in those ready to receive it. These aren't abilities you're developing through practice. They're remembrances of what you've always been, finally allowed to surface through the clearing of everything that wasn't authentically you. Your new timeline continues revealing its miraculous nature through increasing synchronicities that feel almost too perfect to be random. Books fall open to exactly the pages you need to read. Conversations overheard in passing answer questions you've been pondering. Songs on the radio deliver messages so specific to your situation that you have to laugh at the precision of divine communication. You're living in active dialogue with the universe, and the conversation is getting more eloquent every day. The career trajectory that seemed uncertain during your transformation has crystallized into opportunities that exceed your wildest expectations. The job you thought you wanted reveals itself as preparation for the role you were actually meant to fill. The industry connections you worried about making begin approaching you with proposals and partnerships. Your expertise becomes sought after, not because you're pushing it on anyone, but because your authentic mastery is undeniable to those who understand quality. Success flows naturally when it's no longer pursued desperately, but allowed to emerge organically from aligned action. Your emotional resilience has reached levels that amaze even you. Situations that would have devastated your former self are met with calm curiosity about what gift they might contain. Criticism bounces off your strengthened sense of self without creating internal turbulence. Praise is received gracefully without inflating your ego. You've found the centered place where external circumstances can't destabilize your inner peace, and this equilibrium becomes a source of strength that others can feel and draw from when they're in your presence. Your new timeline operates by different laws than the old one. Synchronicity has become your new normal. Manifestation happens with surprising speed. The right people appear at the right moments with the right resources. Obstacles dissolve before you reach them. Doors open before you knock. This isn't magic. This is what life looks like when someone aligns completely with their purpose and stops fighting the current of their destiny. The circle completes itself now. The person who began this transformation in confusion and pain has emerged as someone who could guide others through similar journeys with wisdom and compassion. The battles you fought in private have equipped you for the victories you'll win in public. The tears you shed in darkness have watered the seeds of the joy you'll experience in the light. The prayers you whispered in desperation have been answered in ways more beautiful than you ever imagined possible. The people who tried to write you off are discovering they were actually writing your autobiography, and the plot twist they never saw coming is that you get to write the ending. Welcome to your new timeline, Chosen One. The universe has been waiting for you to arrive, and now that you're here, everything is about to change, not just for you, but for everyone whose life you'll touch with the light you've learned to carry.